My name's Eric Radzins, and today at ProCharger we're going to do one of my favorite things, bolt-on boost onto a Mustang. Check out this killer Mach 1 we got today. Now I know we're usually showing you the latest and greatest Mustangs, but these Gen 3 cars are some of my favorite. They're super affordable to get used right now. It's also super easy to get bolt-on supercharger kits like this ProCharger kit we're about to install, and you can have bang for the buck one of the fastest cars on the street. I brought my friend Aiden along with me today to help me slap this kit on super fast. Aiden, what do you drive?
Yeah, I've got a Gen 2 Mustang, which would be 15 to 17. This is a Gen 3, which is 18 to 23 cars. My car has a stage 2 kit on it, which makes about 700 horsepower, which is about...
Oh, to the wheels though, right?
Yeah, to the wheels.
To the wheels on pump gas.
On pump gas.
Nice.
These 18 to 23 cars, this one we're just doing an HO kit today, which should be very similar.
So what's the difference between an HO kit and a Stage 2 kit?
Stage 2 kit gets a dedicated 8-rib drive belt, or even a 10-rib, depending on how you go.
Ooh, for big power.
Big
okay,
power.
so HO is going to be shared on the backside.
Shared 6-rib drive on the backside. It rides with your factory accessories. Super easy to install.
All right, enough with all those details. Let's start taking off some of the stock parts and get rolling on this install. What do you say?
I'm down.
Aha, you are down. You're going to get the bottom stuff. I'm going to get the top.
Gosh darn it. One of the first steps for me was getting that under tray off the car so you can access the radiator. Thankfully, Ford left us a petcock on there so you can slide a tube on it and drain the radiator without making a big mess.
While Aiden's down below draining the coolant, I'm gonna go ahead and get this factory air box and air cleaner out of the way, move on to the upper panels, and then the coolant jug. Before we throw this stock air intake off to the side, I got to take out the mass air meter. This sensor is what the car uses to know how much air is coming in and how much fuel to put in the engine. This sensor is going to get relocated to one of the ProCharger tubes. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off this strut tower brace while Aiden's going to get started on the upper bumper bolts. One of the cool things about the ProCharger kits is that you actually get to keep your strut tower. So if you're into road racing, all of this stays to keep the chassis nice and stiff. Now with some bolts, the front bumper is going to come off nice and easy, and the next time this bumper goes on, she's going to be making 300 more horsepower. Ford rates these Mach 1s at 480 horsepower, which is awesome, but it's about to make 800 crank horsepower. To keep up with that, we're gonna need to upgrade the fuel system. So we've got bigger injectors, which are about twice the size of the originals, as well as a fuel pump booster, which takes the voltage and ups it so that the fuel pump actually works a little bit more without having to upgrade the pump itself. Aiden, you handle the fuel injectors.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna go inside the car and start plugging in the booster pump. Now I definitely gave Aiden the harder job with the fuel injectors, even though they're both pretty easy. The fuel pump module is just under the back seat. The seat pops right up. There's our module, which unplugs. There we go. And then the ProCharger booster pump is actually plug and play. So all we gotta do, plug that in, plug this in, and then we're gonna mount our ground and mount our box. We're gonna hide it up in here. So you can actually just zip tie this out of the way, and this ground right here gets mounted to the original module.
I know some guys try and change the injectors with the fuel rail still connected to the car. You don't want to do that because you can spill gas down into the combustion chambers. You can actually hydro lock the motor. We brought these injectors outside so that way the shop wouldn't smell like gas the rest of the day. But also, if you look at these injectors and these clips, these are designed to be plug and play with the factory. So you want to make sure you orient them in the same way that your connector is on the car now, just like that. That way these clips will hold them in the same spot so they don't move. If you don't put them in that same spot, you can affect the spray pattern in your horsepower because the injector will turn.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
The last step before putting the strut tower bar back on is going to be pulling the factory coil packs out so that we can get to the spark plugs, change them out for a set that's 1 heat range colder, and we're going to gap them down to about 0.028. If you skip this step, you will not make big horsepower.
You know, while we're talking about spark plugs, ProCharger has an awesome video about what spark plugs, how to gap them, and what heat range to get on their YouTube channel.
Before we put the air-to-air intercooler up here in the grill, I wanted to take the time to show you the difference between the HO intercooler and the Stage 2 intercooler. Now normally you'd think, we're just going to jump to the big one, but we're not. Again, we want to make big horsepower on this car with the base kit. How much horsepower have you seen people make with that Stage 2 intercooler?
I've personally heard people saying they made over 1,400 wheel horsepower.
Yeah, and like
with
gone
this
like
intercooler.
Yeah, and like way eights and
way deep in the eights.
Way deep. But that being said, we don't need a 1,400 horsepower intercooler for this build, so we're going to stick with the HO. You want to get this on while I start doing the bracket?
Let's do it.
All right.
One thing Eric didn't mention about this intercooler was how lightweight it is due to its sheet metal end tanks instead of cast.
All right, before we put the bracket on, I just had to take off this thermostat housing. Super easy, 2 little bolts. You can see it used to be a straight through design. However, ProCharger has this billet adapter that makes it 90 degrees. That way it has plenty of room where the supercharger is about to go. Fun little fact about this guy, ProCharger's been making this for like a decade. Yes, this little HO kit has been powering 9-second Coyote cars since 2014. With the intercooler mounted, we're moving on to the billet beautiful black bracket installation. That's right, don't let this powder coating fool you. Now I know we talked about the intercooler saving a little weight, but one place you don't want to be saving weight is the bracket that's holding the supercharger. It's not going anywhere. This is going to slip right down in here. We're going to bolt up some spacers and bolts, and then we'll start mounting our supercharger. With the 4 mounting bolts snugged up, it boxes in this bracket so that it's extremely rigid to the motor. How rigid? It is move the motor rigid. I mean, this thing is awesome. Woo! One of the most overlooked items on this HO kit is this auxiliary bracket. What this bracket does is mounts to the engine right about here, once I put the spacers in, and allows you to use this jack shaft to move this idler in and out. It does 2 things for you. 1, allows you to preload the belt so you can put all kinds of tension into it, and if you happen to change belt brands, it makes sure that you'll always have the proper tension because not all belts are actually the same length. Brands change, size changes a little bit, and all of that can get fixed with this auxiliary bracket. Now's the part I've been waiting for, to bolt on the supercharger head unit. Yes, just like the bracket, the supercharger head unit is almost all billet too. ProCharger is one of the few companies that does that. And that's the kind of stuff you want when you're pushing those horsepower numbers way up. Now, this right here, this is not an oil feed line. This is an oil drain line to make it easier for when you need to change the oil in the supercharger head unit, which you do about every other oil change on your car. So I'm gonna get this slipped into the bracket now. Before we forget, making sure to add the blower oil to the supercharger head unit. Again, you only need to change this every other time you change your engine oil. On top of having a huge phone staff to answer any of your questions, the ProCharger's instruction manuals are top tier. Highly detailed down to every single tool to use on every single bolt.
Eric had to take off and run to the track to do some testing. We'll go ahead and dyno this thing when he gets back, but that means we got to get this kit finished up. Let's get to it. All right, we got the rest of the intercooler tubing done. We started running our vacuum line for our blow-off valve. Now it's time to run the inlet and the PCV system. All right, so we're starting on the PCV system on our Mach 1 here. The cool thing about ProCharger is we send factory style PCV fittings. That way you've got a great fit and finish on the kit. All right, so it's time to pull the stock file off the vehicle so we can get a tune in here and get this thing running. This is your ProCharger HP Tuners RTD device. This will come in your full systems for the Mustang and various other kits that we supply. So what you're going to do, get in the vehicle, plug it into your OBD2 port. You'll see it'll light up green here in a second, and you'll want to turn the car on to where the ignition's on but the vehicle's not running. All right, next step is to download the Tune Delivery Network or TDN app. Go to your app store, search up Tune Delivery Network, and it's this one right here. Once it's downloaded, go ahead and open the app. All right, next step you're going to do, click the account button again. You're going to want to go to the invite code section up here and put in your ProCharger invite code. Next, you'll go over and click the tools icon, and you'll do setup MPVI 3, or it'll say RTD right there. And then you just follow the steps and it'll get your RTD device set up. All right, next step, once the device is all set up, come over to the flash section here. At the bottom right, you'll see read vehicle. Go ahead and press that with your ignition on. Once the file's done loading into the vehicle, you should be good to fire the car up. The kit's done and Eric's back from the track. It's time to put the bumper on.
Yeah, I mean, I let you do all the hard work.
I know.
So here, gotta plug in my light. You got yours?
Yeah.
Cool. With the installation wrapped up, now's the time to showcase all of the simple tools that we used. But first, one more time, the owner's manual is your Bible for this installation. It's going to tell you every tool to use, it's full color, you got diagrams, and if you get stuck, you can call the ProCharger Tech guys Monday through Friday. Phone lines are always open during the day. Now, the tools that everyone has in their garage is what we used, starting with the zip. That makes those 10 mils and 8 mils and 7s come off really fast. Right here on our 3/8 drive, this was to take off the spark plugs. We used our feeler gauge to gap the plugs. Again, we got some quarter drive stuff here. Like I said, a lot of 8 mils, a lot of 10 mils, fuel rail, stuff like that. That's what we use that for. Box cutter and a razor blade. We use that to trim up some of the rubber hoses, make sure everything looks neat and tidy in OEM. We got our pair of pliers here. We use these to take off factory hose clamps as well as cut zip ties. We have a fuel rail disconnect tool that makes it to where you can take the fuel lines off nice and easy when you're changing the injectors. And then you got box end wrenches, some sockets. That's all you need. And for those of you wondering, I do have a little Windex here because that's what I use to slide the rubber and the silicone into the metal couplers. Makes it a lot easier. Again, all of this stuff you guys will have in your garage. The installation is a breeze, and now we're about to hit the dyno. Aiden, come over here, check this out.
Let's see what we got.
Well, we got big numbers.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so she just laid 712 to the tire in 6th gear, and I pulled up the baseline from before so we knew where we were, trying to shoot for on our gain. So it made 390 on its baseline before it hit 712. So hold on. Let's do the calculator because I'm not fast. 712. 322 horsepower.
That's
gain.
pretty good, man.
She's gonna rip.
That's a score, yeah.
Now, granted, that is an STD correction. I know the internet likes, to argue about that.
Yeah.
So, in SAE correction, I believe it was 698. Let's take a look right here. This is also, this is why you gotta be careful with these down numbers. 698, 382. So again, the gain should be about the same.
Yeah.
So 698 minus 382, 316. So either way,
yeah.
No matter if you're SAE or STD, over 300 horsepower gain to the tire, and this is a freaking HO kit.
Yeah.
With the HO intercooler. And again, that was done with this HO kit on a 6-rib drive. Now don't let that 6-rib drive fool you. This thing is stout. Like I said, we've already had people making 17, 18, 19 pounds of boost with this drive, and that's just with the P1X. So just so you guys know, you can pulley down, spin this blower faster for even more horsepower. You can always change head units to bigger aggressive ones that make more horsepower, or you can change that front intercooler if you live in a hot climate, or again, you're making more boost. Now, for those going even more aggressive, you can go to a stage 2 bracket, which takes this blower, moves it forward just a little bit, and runs a dedicated drive belt just from the blower down to the crankshaft. That, combined with the crank support, has been supporting 1,400 plus horsepower Coyotes for years. I guess what I'm trying to say is, no matter if you got a stock car like this Mach 1, or you got a 7-second race car, ProCharger has the perfect centrifugal supercharger kit for you. If you have more questions, visit us at ProCharger.com, and we will see you in the next video.